Alright.
Hi, I'm Aaron Morrison.
I'm Katie Slinkosky.
And I'm Aimee Slater, and we want to welcome you to Mysterium Royale. In a kingdom not too far away from our own, a night full of intrigue still leaves its citizens in befuddled wonder and inconceivable sadness. The kingdom of Mysterium Royale has never known a mystery quite like this. The Princess Amaryllis was dead, murdered, and the royal guard was no closer to solving it than they were 7 years ago when it occurred.
Queen Karina of Mysterium Royale invites you by imperial decree to a royal garden party to celebrate the birthday of her sister, the late Princess Amaryllis. Please join us in this royal festivity and dine in elegance as you feast on French-inspired cuisine in the conservatory of the palace.
As you arrive from the parking lot, your stagecoach will be waiting to take you to the palace and the conservatory where your dinner will be held. Step into elegance with a Victorian motif of tufting and velvet. Enjoy gorgeous scenery along your way as your stagecoach transports you from the vehicle to the palace grounds.
When your stagecoach arrives, you will enter the royal gardens, stunning in their beauty and grace. If you have arrived before your scheduled dinner, please explore the gardens at your leisure. Queen Karina is very proud of her gardens, and you could find a spot or two to take a nice picture. You may notice the gardens are quite fantastical and may have a few secrets for you to discover.
As you are walking around, you may notice a hidden door that seems to lead somewhere. Is this part of a mystery, you may ask? You investigate. As you open the door, you realize you've discovered a secret bar. Here you can relax and enjoy a drink before or after your meal.
When it is time for your reservation, please make your way to the Great Hall with a grand staircase and elegant decor, where you'll be welcomed by Queen Karina and then escorted to the conservatory to enjoy your dinner.
Welcome to Mysterium Royale. It is with great affection that I welcome you to my halls. Thank you all for being with me on this day as we celebrate my sister's birthday. Princess Amaryllis still lives in our hearts, and I know you would be united with me in my desire to honor her. Amaryllis was a kind, graceful, and beautiful soul taken from us too soon. Let us eat and think of her. Dinner will begin shortly. Please make your way into the conservatory.
As the queen and her royal court leave the hall, you notice two ladies in waiting trailing behind.
If Princess Amaryllis were still alive, she'd be the queen.
Oh yes, as the older sister, she would have been a better queen at that. I miss Amaryllis. She was kind and courageous.
I heard that the wizard in training Alistair was involved in her death, and that's why the queen banished him.
I heard he still found ways to be in the palace undetected, and he thinks the queen did it.
Oh, hush you! That's how someone loses their head. I hope no one overheard you. Oop, you're all still here? Hurry on to the party. Dinner will start without you.
You leave the hall for the conservatory. If you stop to look in one of the windows on your way out, you may get a glimpse that not all is as happy as the queen makes it out to be.
Once inside the conservatory, you will be escorted to your table that is decorated in the continued Victorian era motif, and interactive elements will be there to help you see the story along the way. Your waiter will introduce themselves and take your drink order.
Here, your waiter will bring you your drinks and hors d'oeuvres. Soon after the hors d'oeuvres are served, suddenly you can see a face of the wizard, Alistair, in one of the interactive elements on your table.
Hey, can you see me? Good. I need your help. I would never have hurt Princess Amaryllis. I loved her with all of my heart, and we were to be married. I've been working on a spell that will allow us to see who really did it. My orrery will bring us back to 3 specific moments in time.
After the waiter takes your order, your table revolves out of the covered section to reveal the wizard's orrery. The wizard uses his orrery to let you view 3 points in time through 3 dioramas you see next to your table.
You will then interact with 3 different moments in time. There will be characters you need to meet and talk to, and clues and objects to find. To get back to your time, you must find out who truly killed Princess Amaryllis.
As you turn to the first diorama, you are greeted with the royal village. The characters and townspeople are spread throughout and now is your chance to interact with them. It's soon after Amaryllis has passed away, and the Queen Karina can be found in the graveyard mourning her sister.
Choose your characters carefully as you ask them your predetermined questions, such as, did Maury, the royal wizard, say he despises Alistair? Could he have framed him to take the fall for Amaryllis's death?
The table is your vessel for adventure as you interact with the different elements on the table through the use of projection. There will be projected pieces on the game board where you can collect notes and clues and get to interact with the characters and objects.
As your table turns, you enter into the second diorama of a grand ballroom. You enter the ball as it is underway, with people conversing, dancing as the orchestra plays on. Here is an opportunity to pull patrons aside and gather more information and clues. Maury, the chief suspect, does a magical feat to gather the crowd's attention to make a toast, when all of a sudden, the chandelier falls and smashes him.
This is the last diorama that takes place in the library. This is where you will have the chance to accuse the murderer, and it's revealed if you were right or wrong.
Once your dinner is over, you leave the restaurant. You flow back into the garden and you can take your last-minute pictures or even look at the foreshadowing clues hidden in the garden with a brand new perspective.
Mysterium Royale is meticulously engineered to take you on an adventure you will never forget, one full of elegance, salacious food, and a bit of mystery.
Throughout the evening, guests will go on their own hero's journey as they enjoy their dinner and solve the mystery of Princess Amaryllis's untimely death.
The menu will be a 5-course meal with a French-style cuisine and 3 main entrees to choose from. Everyone will get the same hors d'oeuvres and a starter of a charcuterie board with edible flowers and a choice of 2 different salads. Then, for guests' main dish, they can choose between coq au vin, beef tenderloin, or a vegetable choice of ratatouille. Lastly, they will get a choice of 3 different desserts to top off their meal.
The importance of the stagecoach is to transport the guest from the mundane to the spectacular.
They're housed in the elevator cores, which are actually within those 2 towers that you're seeing.
From a functional standpoint, it is also to convey you to the second level, as the back of house items are on the first. The garden, the show, and the restaurant will all take place on that second level. The scenery is accomplished through the use of screens, and hydraulics will make the carriage rock slightly to give you that sense of actually going up the mountain. The journey allows us to add some foreshadowing to the story.
This pre-show theater set is to prep guests for what comes next. This is accomplished through 3-dimensional theater set piece, and the characters are given depth from the use of screens.
This is a circular revolving restaurant. It moves along a tray to look out upon 3 dioramas. There's only one part around the perimeter that is revolving. The dioramas and their center core are stationary. Your booth will face out to the dioramas to get the best view to interact with the game.
The first portion of the experience is covered, and as you are led to your booth, you have a sense of compression in a tight space with just the lights of the candelabra to guide your way. This juxtaposes the scene in front of you as you enter the dining quarters with a breathtaking view of the mountains to see the full majesties of the landscape the kingdom is in. The top of the booth is covered by an ornamental section of elegant mullions that let you view into the center of the restaurant.
After the waiter takes your order, your table revolves out of the covered section to reveal the wizard's orrery. The wizard uses this orrery to let you view those 3 points in time for the dioramas next to your table.
Here you see the parking lot. So you have all surface parking on the outside, and that is for the guests. And then you have in the pink is where you have the elevator cores that move you up and down from the first to the second level in the carriages, and then the loading dock for that. And then on the inside you have the parking, the interior parking for the staff. And on the first level, you have all of your back of house functions, such as the trash compactors, the actual AV and IT rooms. You have a workshop for the dioramas and other things that the long-term storage for the restaurant, as well as the freezers. And then you have in the light blue the dioramas. that you'll be able to see into from the second level. And then on the second level, you can see that it's a rooftop garden that you're allowed to move through, and then you can find the secret garden in there, as well as the show set. The restaurant is a circular restaurant. You have the tray that moves around, and then the center core has the restaurant or the kitchen and all of the egress and stairs. So here you see the 2-level plan for the revolving restaurant, the booths and how they work with the center core, and you have access to the kitchen on the second level, and then in the egress stairs, and then you move down to the first level where you have the back of house functions.
Thank you for visiting our gamified restaurant, Mysterium Royale. We look forward to any questions that you have.
Great, thank you so much, Team One. At this point, are there any clarifying questions from the judges?
I have one. What is your target price point?
Pretty high. It's definitely not a general casual dining. It's definitely more of the higher price point.
Because of that, have you thought of maybe where you would target this like what location this would be, or what target audience you're going to attract?
Well, we did want to ground it because then that had to have, implications for code and that sort of thing.
I mean, I definitely think we thought like 12 and up for sure. Not a lot of children unless, they want to come. We definitely thought target audience would be older adults and everything. And then just people that like the murder mystery type dinners that already happen.
Yeah, and to touch on the fact that it's a higher price point, we were considering like a once a year, like big event, big birthday, big event kind of audience to attract at this space.
How many covers, how many tickets are sold per showing?
We did talk about that. I think it's about 8 people per room. So we were thinking if parties of 8 were kind of like a nice standing point, kind of inspired by like hibachi style dining, where if you don't fill that, then multiple parties of smaller parties can fill the space and just fill a room together. But I think that would end up being like, we were thinking about making it like a timed event. So when you receive your invitation and you make your reservation, you come back a specific time so that the whole thing kind of runs and operates on that like turntable show style.
And do you have a sense of like total number of people who would be in a show at a given time, and then also how many shows you would do per night?
Yeah, well, maximum is 320 with the amount of booths, and that's with a space that would allow for there's a reverb. That would allow for a gap space for the reset. That being said,
wait, Aaron, you said 320, is that that's per seating?
Yeah, that's the maximum amount of seating. And so we're imagining as it rotates, it would take about an hour to rotate. And so you have about 320 per hour. That's max.
What happens when a group gets to the end of the rotation and the game's over, but they haven't finished eating? Do you have any plans for that?
Well, we factored that, it would take an hour to rotate. I imagine, because what you can do is we would probably just move the food over to the bar and have it meet you there, because you can have the bar before or after, and that serves drinks and little hors d'oeuvres. So.
All right, we have time for about one more question. Any final question?
How long is the overall experience?
I think we were thinking about an hour for the show in the restaurant, but we've accommodated for more time in the garden space and the secret bar and other areas for guests to explore.
So how long is the overall experience?
It depends on how much they
Yeah.
want to linger. If they want to come early and take pictures in the garden, if they want to, or if they just want to show up for dinner and do dinner, that's an hour. But if they want to do pictures in the gardens and everything like that, and then go to the bar, that could be up to 2 hours, 3 hours.
So how do you make reservations?
Online through a website.
But your shows, you have 320 people going through the show at one time, I'm assuming?
Potentially. Depends on if it's a busy night.
So that limits the lingering in the garden and the bar because you have showtime, right?
So this, if you can see our mouse, this is our garden space and this is kind of our secret bar area. So the time that's really limited is from your seat to the end. So you're kind of gliding along this rotational restaurant. And that's the part that really is timed to a show kind of style.
Gotcha.
Dining experience. So we're imagining that the rest of it really is up to leisure and up to guest discretion, however long they wish to stay.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Team 1. With that being said, we are going to move on to our next team.